Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Another day, another series of Rostermania updates going down, especially with what's potentially happening at Sentinels, 100 Thieves and elsewhere as well. New rumours emerging that Zander to Sentinels is not going to be happening. It's actually going to be Zander potentially to 100 Thieves. That means they might have sniped bang at Sentinels for the upcoming season, but they might not be able to play him at the upcoming Red Bull Homegrounds due to the constraint of the contract signing date. Very much interested to your thoughts on all this drama in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, from Sentinels, Curry will be playing, as we expected, in their Red Bull Homegrounds roster. Zelsis, Zekken, Gen.G, Curry, +1. They need a +1. And as Sentinels say, only one piece of the Red Bull roster remains, who is the mystery 5th player. Now, look, there are other options they could look at. Tens could step back in for the day, but, you know, maybe somewhat doubtful. There's a couple of guys that have been linked to the team. Ideally, they'd play with someone who they actually want to play with in next year's roster. The problem with doing that is it takes until like the 7th of October until these contracts can actually get resolved so they can sign these guys. But, yeah, that's a question for you guys. We'll talk about Sentinels more in a second. Before we get there, just wanted to go through this from Ben CB, who, well, it was part of the ownership over at Ascends, the organisation that won the 2021 World Championship in VALORANT, didn't make it into the franchise era, and has therefore competed in Tier 2 ever since, until this year where they call it a day. And I just thought it was quite interesting reading his perspective on why the Tier 2 ecosystem is a problem, and why Riot needs to think about it, because they put in 700k and they didn't get anything out of it. And this is what he said: when Riot reduced the 2-year franchise slot to just 1 year, it felt like a slap in the face. That's when we began to reconsider our place in the game. We weren't alone, others felt it too. So it used to be a 2-year guarantee. Now, from now onwards, if you win Ascension, it's a 1-year guarantee, and then if you place well, if you qualify well, then you can, you know, stay around, and if you don't, you get relegated again. And it seems like that change made many individuals kind of like reconsider whether they were going to stay or not, and the same story here for Ascends. After winning champs in 2021, we were invited to apply for the VCT franchise. It felt like everything was coming together. We even secured a final 20 spot and flew to Berlin to pitch our plant in front of the decision makers. We didn't make the cut. We weren't too upset because other competing orgs had more experience, a bigger fan base, significantly larger budgets, but we had a good impression, an excellent impression of the Riot staff: professional, passionate, diligent, extremely friendly. But once we descended to Tier 2, everything changed. That's where the nightmare began. Fighting for one slot across Europe isn't just difficult, it's ruthless, potentially extremely rewarding though, and they nearly won it in the first year, but they fell just short. Teams, including ours, poured money, time and heart into the competition, and look, he makes a good point. Tier 2 VALORANT exists pretty much because of players wanting to grind their way up, and that is the intention of Riot, really, is just to ensure that players play competitive VALORANT and they have some sort of path to get into the Pro League. The issue is that organizations will only really invest because of the whole carrot and the stick, really. Like, that's how it seems to me. The promise of them getting promoted to the actual main league is a very high upside for lots of potential investment, and massive downside if it doesn't work out. And that promise, or that carrot, whatever you want to describe it as, that has kept organizations invested, but seemingly not for too much longer. Because, as he says, without the franchise system as a goal, would Tier 2 even exist? I don't think so. So what happened to Tier 2? Is Riot understaffed? Do they not care? Are the wrong people in charge? Why is it so bad when it wouldn't take that much money to fix? We'll be diving deeper into this soon in like a podcast they're going to do, but this is basically what he says. There's mismanagement of tournaments, broadcasts that don't appeal to the majority, low viewership, prize money delays, lack of communication, the cancellation of all these split 3 tournaments in EMEA all got worse. If we ever return, it'll be either in a profitable situation potentially with a low budget team, or in a more sustainable ecosystem. But the reality is, Tier 2 VALORANT's been a slap in the face, not just for orgs like ours, but for the players too. They sacrifice their time and lives chasing the dreams of becoming pro, while countless people behind the scenes, coaches, management, editors, designers, work tirelessly as well. And, you know, these guys aren't getting rich for it, it's just passion. Says that VALORANT deserves better. Maybe the higher-ups are unaware of what's going on. It's a disaster for orgs, he says, right now, and it's even worse for the players, because, you know, it's difficult for the organizations, obviously, but they can just pull out, right? They can say, all right, it's not worth it, we're not going to bother, we won't put the money in anymore. But then the players that have a salary, right? And so many of the pro players who have committed to Valorant are just, not salaried, trying their absolute hardest to try and make it work in the tier 2 ecosystem. It's a difficult one, isn't it? So, for all parties, not the best, but I just kind of wanted to share that perspective because it's been a big conversation lately in Valorant, and I thought that was some interesting insight from a team owner on how things are going from their perspective. Now, speaking more of the players, FNS, he says that more than likely this is his last year, and it makes sense, to be fair, but just wanted to share the clip here from FNS saying, yeah, this year on NRG, he's going to give it his all because likely this is going to be his final year competing in professional play.
Have you decided if you're playing or not next year? It's likely no. Like very, very likely. 95% no. It just doesn't really make any sense. I also think there's so much talent now in America and actually the world that it would be cool to see other people also get the spot and get a chance to play. There's just no point. And for me, I want to do other things.
But let's dive straight into the roster juice here because there's been a number of leaks over the last 24 hours or so. Lembo says the following. Adverso and Nozwa are a couple of options for crew right now. He doesn't know for sure if Demon 1 is going to get the spot on Lev. What he does believe, however, is that there are conversations to that effect, and as a result of it, and the Demon 1 to Lev hype gaining some traction, NRG might well start to up the buyout, so that would be interesting. Maybe it'll prevent the deal from happening, I don't know. But it seems such as NRG want Durka. That's the rumour anyway. And we've heard this for some time, and Lembo believes it to be true, that Durka to NRG is their plan, and Aspas's buyout to be way more expensive. Apparently the only organisation that is, well, not exactly only, but the organisation that is willing to pay for Aspas and get his buyout off Lev is actually Bleed Esports. And I mentioned this the other day, not as a joke, but almost just like, could you believe if they went from Ye to Aspas? And they might do, because from that region, it seems like the team that at least is willing to put up the money, someone else might as well, but the team that is willing to do that right now is potentially Bleed. So that's very interesting. Marder doing well in tryouts. Of course, we talked about the Lev links as well, and there's a couple of other things in addition, but that I thought was rather fascinating. There was also this spotted yesterday with Supermen, spotted with the Leviathan guys again. So we see Sentinels here with Kaplan, Zelsis, Zekken, etc. playing against Com, Marder, Supermen. So definitely Lev are forming a rather interesting team, but it does feel like Aspas wants to go, and somebody is probably going to pay for it, but that somebody might end up being Bleed Esports. But let's talk about this scenario on the Sentinel side, because there's been some rumours lately. What's going on here? This was just obviously complete speculation, but these players, Bang and Scuba and Zander, they've all been linked to these organisations, haven't they? And we're not really sure what's going on. Zekken doesn't seem to believe it, but this is just some latest rumours, and we don't know how reliable and valid these rumours are. It's always difficult to say, as we know, but this is how things stand right now. New rumours linking Zander to 100T. So we talked about Zander being an option for Sen after things went wrong with M80, of course, didn't win Ascension, but apparently 100T might be an option now, which does, of course, raise the question of what's happening, for example, with Bang, because that's been the latest rumour that Bang might be off 100T and Zander might be in, and that might be the change they make, which, would be fine, I guess, either way, but it also kind of wonders, okay, well, where would Bang go if that was to be the case? And that's when the rumour about joining Sentinels has kind of come from, and maybe that's going to be true. Couple of things on Loud. Pancada is right now the only one that's guaranteed to be staying. Heat wanted to go in, but they all can't afford the buyout. That's the issue for Pancada, and also less Cowanzan toys, whether they're going to stay or go is unknown right now, depending on what sort of buyout they might get. And, apparently in EMEA, there is some willingness to buy less out of his deal. So, if that was to be the case, then it is just going to be Pancada and friends more than likely on that organisation next year. Couple of things on Furia, couple of things on MIBR, but, there are negotiations with 3 organisations apparently right now. Bleed Esports obviously have advanced negotiations. They they have the cash, but also DRX and Fnatic. These are the other two teams to keep in mind here for Aspas. DRX is interesting because, you know, not the one that I necessarily expected. I think it can make sense, but of the organizations on that level in the Pacific, I didn't necessarily think DRX would be the org to potentially go for it, but they are apparently interested, as are Fnatic. How much money those guys have, like, they want to renegotiate the buyout, don't they? And it kind of depends on what Aspas is going to do and what Lev want to do, because if Lev say, look, this is the number, you're paying this number or you're not getting him, then probably only Bleeze can do that. And Aspas, does he want to go to Bleeze? I mean, he might not have a choice, I guess. But if he says, like, no, I really want to go here or something, or I'll do whatever to make it work, then maybe there's a world in which it works, or maybe those players have to send someone else, or maybe those teams have to send some other player in return. I don't know. But that's the latest rumor anyway. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, as you might have expected, after Rocket Bullets retired effectively from spreadsheet making, there's been a fair few other ones going around. This is one here just real quick from the Americas. Couple of things on this are out of date, but yeah, just wanted to kind of point out the whole Bang to Sentinels possibility and this Zander to 100T possibility instead of Bang as being a potential option there. And of course, all sorts of stuff is going on with Lev at the moment that is rather difficult to call how that's going to trend. So very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Just one final thing as well, of course, from G2. We're expecting them to announce Jorgamo very shortly, as of course you can see here on the spreadsheet as well under G2, with Icy out the door. And yeah, Icy is officially gone as of this roster yesterday. So yeah, wishing him the best going forward. He stepped in, did a solid job, to be fair. I thought they might have considered keeping him around, but I think from quite early days in Rostermania, they were looking at Oxy, maybe G2. That was the rumor anyway, off the Cloud9 team. That never happened. So Jorgamo probably makes a lot of sense as well. So I like the G2 team for next year, assuming that Jorgamo is the man that they sign. But I see stepped in, did a solid job, and maybe he's going to get a decent offer from elsewhere, as we see with, you know, other organizations or other players such as Hero or Patty Tech that did a good job subbing in for their respective teams this year. Not quite the same story for Icy, but not too far behind. Very much interested in your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.